All right. Good evening once again, everybody, to the Cash Flow Chronicles. So today, I have some sad news, some very sad news. And it's something that I said yesterday that I wouldn't do for the time being. And, I just had to reevaluate it. And I just didn't understand why it looked so attractive. But I sold Palantir covered calls. I had to sell Palantir covered calls because the premiums were so juicy, more better than I was anticipating. So I think initially what I was kind of forecasting was that I wasn't going to sell. Oh no, did I exit out of the screenshot that I took? Damn it. Anyway, I had a screenshot of what I was going to share, which was the contracts that I had sold. And maybe what I can do is I'll pull up Robinhood because I don't want to go into my Fidelity account. But you'll get a good idea as to what I'm talking about, and it might be a good educational piece for people as well. So let me hop into Robinhood here, and let me just double check everybody can see. Cool, everybody can see. So Palantir today and yesterday have done relatively well. It's up 18% for the week. And so yesterday I came with a strong statement saying that I would not sell any covered calls. And when I was thinking that, I was thinking like the 22, 23, 24 range. And I was like, it just doesn't make any sense, right? It's just too much risk. I could see the stock popping 25 to 30% in the matter of a couple days, just based off of any sort of news that kind of came out. And so when I saw the stock kind of opening up and staying in the $20 range, I was like, let old Matty here take a quick gander, right? And so if you're looking at the 4th, which is this Friday, so 3 days from now, the premiums aren't so juicy. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's pre-earnings, right? But even still, if you have a little bit of a wanton gander, you could still sell some things and get some money. But you have to think, I have 40 contracts. Some of you guys have 100, could sell 100 or 150. I know there's some big ballers out there. But I was looking and I was like, you know what? I was like, where does the risk versus reward actually start to get enticing? And I was like, I'm staying away from anything below 25 in terms of covered calls. And so I've moved to the August 11th. So 10 days from now. So Monday morning. So about 6 days from now, 7 days from now, we have earnings pre-market, or maybe it's after market now. I think they switched to Monday afternoons, market, after market versus before on Tuesdays. I think so they switched to Mondays. So, which is fine. I have no problem with that. The thought that I then had was, okay, if I were to, let me just take a quick gander. And so I did, and I was like, well, I'm not selling at 25, that's for sure. But I did see these bad boys at 30, and I was like, okay, at 30, you're looking at a pretty decent chance of profit. The delta's up there, even with the higher volatility, implied volatility at 160 odd percent. I'm like, all right. I'm like, you need to move this thing 50% from where it's at today. Is it possible? Yes. But my thought process being, and this happened in 2021, so I have a little bit of experience with this. I'm not saying it's going to guaranteed work out. But what I think might end up happening, even if it does say go to $30 a share, $35 a share, what I can do is easily just go out and sell another contract. And the implied volatility of this thing, if it goes to $30 a share, is going to be so crazy that you could continue to just roll. And eventually Palantir is going to hit some sort of lull. There is a possibility, of course, that it continues to run. But anyway, my thought process was, if in the short term, I anticipate Palantir to be a stock that, could potentially be a $400,000 to $500,000 position. But if by some chance on Monday of next week or the following week thereafter, it gets to $120,000 position in my portfolio, in the short term, I'm going to be okay with that. What I will do, of course, I'll continue to try to roll, but in the short term, if it honestly goes up that much, you kinda have to live with it. Am I gonna be happy about selling at 30? Absolutely not. I feel like I'll leave some money on the table, but one of my biggest regrets in 2021 was, maybe not taking some of that love off the table and waiting for a different day. Anyway, I don't wanna make this entirely about Palantir, but I wanted to kinda clickbait some of you guys that I sold Palantir, but in reality, it's covered calls. In reality, what I ended up doing, I set a limit for 15 per share, which ends up being $15 a contract because each contract's 100 shares. For those who don't know about much about covered calls, it didn't go through initially, so I lowered it to 14. For some reason, it filled at 16, so I sold 40 contracts at $16. It's like 630, $640. So after commissions and everything, I walked away with about, I think it was like $620. So worst case scenario, Matty Moolah has to sell $120,000 worth of Palantir and $620. And I think my cost basis is like 50 grand. So I wouldn't be happy with it because I plan on Palantir being a $400,000-$500,000 position. But in the short term, if it has that kind of buzz, maybe I'll be really sad, right? Maybe Q2 earnings is going to be way better than everyone expects, or at least I'm not expecting the moon, but I think a lot of people are. So anyway, the fact that the premium is so high, the implied volatility is so high, I couldn't let that walk away. So there's that. So I'll stop with respect to that.